Kevin Durant was quoted by the Arizona Republic's Dwayne Rankin the other day, in which Dwayne brought up the question why Kevin Durant is not mentioned in the GOAT conversation. His response was, because I went to the Warriors. Why shouldn't I be in that? That's the question you should ask. Why not? What haven't I done? So I'm not actually going to hold Kevin Durant going to the Warriors against him when it comes to this GOAT conversation. Here's why I'm not going to even hold that against him. What I'm going to hold against him is that he hasn't won enough championships to be considered the GOAT. He hasn't won enough league MVPs to be the GOAT. Kevin Durant has only won one league MVP in his whole entire career. I feel to be in the GOAT conversation, you have had to have at least won 3 league MVPs. Just are multiple finals MVPs, more than 2 at least, and he hasn't done any of those things. So I hold that against him. You look at Durant's resume, I think he has 4 scoring titles, which is ridiculous. I think only Michael Jordan has more than him in the history of the NBA. I think probably Wilt Chamberlain also, but still he's on a short list. If you think about that, he's been a great scorer throughout his career, tremendous scorer, but you can't put him in the GOAT because he didn't do enough when it came to winning. He just didn't dominate the league where you were thinking like, hey, he's the best player. It's unquestionably him. He may have had his. I think he could have made that argument during the late 2010s, but I think that got diluted by him being on the Warriors. So we never really got to see him as truly the best player in the league. It was always questionable. So I think that works against him really. And so when you look at it too, just his competitive spirit to me is not on the level of a GOAT. I also hold that against LeBron, but I have LeBron ranked higher than him, obviously, because of his achievements. But I just feel Durant's competitive spirit is not GOAT level when you think about it, because he left OKC after going up 3-1 on the Warriors and then suddenly blowing a 3-1 lead. That is pretty embarrassing. It doesn't happen often in NBA history that you blow a 3-1 lead. I think it's only happened like 7 or 8 times. So it's very rare you blow a 3-1 lead, and it shows that you don't have killer instinct like a GOAT is supposed to have. You're supposed to just take out a team when they're down and not allow them to come back. And that year, the Thunder had just as much talent, I felt, as the Warriors. That team was good enough. They were more than capable of being the Warriors. But instead, Durant melted when his team went up 3-1 in that series. I saw that series. I saw how he disappeared in that. I think it was a pivotal Game 6 where they were in OKC at home, and he just didn't show up when the team needed him in that fourth quarter, I can recall. So I think that will always be a black mark against him. It's one of those things I'm surprised people don't really ask him about, especially these media reporters, about not just him going to Golden State, but why didn't he want to stay another year in OKC? He was obviously up 3-1 on the Warriors. Its true competitor would have wanted to have a revenge match or a grudge match, just a rematch, just to settle the score. If you lose to the team in 7, it's not like they're that much better than you. You made a few mistakes basketball-wise, so I think that will always be held against him in my eyes, that just he didn't have the competitive spirit to be the GOAT, because if he was a true competitor, he would have wanted a rematch with the Warriors. He wouldn't have ran to them when Draymond said that they didn't need him, and he still went there, basically showing that he was Draymond's bitch in that moment. Just he still is, probably, the way I see him sucking up to him. But to me, that just wasn't a GOAT-like mentality. I say this because I think him not being competitive enough is part of the reason why he never went into that another level of just being a legendary great player, just in the GOAT conversation. When you think about it, just I think it prevented him. He's just a level or two below being a GOAT, but I think he had the talent to be a GOAT. He was a great scorer, and he was never a great defender, but he was a decent defender in his prime. So I just think, like I said, just the talent was there, but the competitive spirit wasn't there. And he's just delusional, but he's always been delusional. I think Cat Williams said it best. it's hard to find someone that's confident without being delusional, and I think Durant falls into that category. So that's all I had to say about it.